It began with demonstrations over the arrest of young boys, but as had been seen across the Middle East, it quickly expanded into a confrontation with the government. Pro-Bashar al-Assad rallies were also held, but the delicate ethnic and religious balances that held Syria together quickly fell apart. Ancient cities like Homs and Dara became modern-day battlefields. The fighting bloody, town to town, street to street and house to house. The world and the region shocked, but nations stoked the civil war by taking sides and sponsoring armed groups. The US called for Assad to step down. By 2012, the fighting was countrywide. The UN sent an envoy. Peace plans were floated, but the killing continued. By 2013, chemical weapons were being used against civilians.
A red line for us.
This was a red line, the US president declared. The US seemed poised to intervene, but instead decided on diplomacy with an influential Russia. An agreement was signed to rid Syria of its chemical weapons peacefully. But Syria continued to implode. Syria's second city, Aleppo, became a flashpoint. Rebels, radicalized by war and outside influence, became increasingly Islamic in nature. ISIL rushed in from neighboring Iraq, terrorizing village after village. In the fall of 2014, the US launched an air campaign against the terror group after it shocked the world via social media, showing the execution of kidnapped journalists. Refugees who had flocked to Turkey, Jordan and Iraq by the millions now tried to move to Europe by the thousands, risking everything for a better life. The migrants were met with a mix of hostility and compassion, creating deep divisions in Europe. Peace plan after peace plan again failed. 2015 and Syria's government forces suffered setbacks. Fears of a radical rebel takeover fueled intervention on behalf of Damascus by Iranian-backed forces and then perhaps decisively Russia. Russia said it was targeting terrorists just like the US, but the two sides didn't agree on who was a terrorist. Serious tensions rose. 2016 saw tensions too between other powers. Turkey, angry at its US ally, which relied heavily on Syrian Kurdish forces to tackle ISIL to establish a separate state out of Syrian and Turkish territory.
Mr. President.
2017 brought a new US president and a new policy. The US stepped up its fight against ISIL. Eventually, the self-described caliphate capital of Raqqa would fall. For the first time in the conflict, the US also launched airstrikes in response to alleged chemical weapons attacks by Damascus. Syria denied it, Russia complained, and the deep divisions remained over Syria's future. 2018, Russia, buoyed by its own success in defending the Syrian government and turning the war around, is now trying its own peace initiative. But the killing continues. Civilians from the Damascus suburb of eastern Ghouta are trapped despite a United Nations-backed ceasefire. 7 years on, nearly 500,000 dead, 12 million have fled their homes, and peace is nowhere to be found. Nathan King, CGTN.